Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Nevada Commission on Ethics meeting to order. Let's do roll. Chair Wallen here. Vice Chair Dufferin.
Here.
Commissioner Greenwald.
Here.
Commissioner Lowry.
Here. Here.
Commissioner Yin.
Here.
Commissioner Oscarson, please mark him excused. And Commissioner Teller, please mark him excused. And Commissioner Sheets sent in his resignation effective today. On staff, we have Executive Director Armstrong.
Here.
Associate Counsel Bassett. Here. Investigator Terry.
Here.
Executive Assistant Pedroza. Here. Deputy Attorney General St. Jules. Here. Right, let's do the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, I would like to open it up, item number 2 for public comment. Executive Director Armstrong, have you received any public comment by email to be read on the record?
This is Executive Director Armstrong. For the record, we have not received any public comment
Okay,
by email.
are there any members of the public present?
We do have members of the public present. Do any of them wish to provide public comment?
Yes.
Yes.
Then if you'd like to present public comment, please take a seat in that seat and state your name and then proceed with your public comment.
3 minutes.
Thank you.
I don't know if this goes to anyone else. You don't need it? Okay.
Members of the public wishing to make public comment, you will have 3 minutes.
Okay, I don't have my timer, but
We do, that's okay.
is there a place I can see it? But no.
Pass that over.
Okay, so my name is Nicholas St. John. Certainly want to have these, certainly have these comments placed on the record. There's come to our attention that according to NRS code, there is a county commissioner who's been recently appointed, Clara Andriola. And according to the NRS code 282.010, paragraph 3, all officers appointed to fill vacancies in the cases provided by law shall qualify and give bond when required within 30 days from the time of their appointment. That appointment was done on April 11th. 050, bond enforced during term of office. Every such bond shall be deemed to be in force and obligatory upon the principal and sureties thereon for the faithful discharge of all duties which may be required of such officer by any law enacted subsequently to the execution of such bond, and such condition shall be expressed therein. NRS code 282.080, approval, filing, and recording of official bond. The official bonds of all county and township officers shall be approved by the county, by the Board of County Commissioners, and filed or recorded in the office of the county clerk. I have verification from the county clerk that they have not been filed. I have also a voicemail from RLI claims adjuster Stacy Campbell that there was no bond issued as of yesterday morning at 10:30. NRS code 282.090, additional bond of county and township officers showing of insufficiency execution and filing, office vacated for failure to execute and file bond. That's what's happened here. And finally, NRS code 282.200, forfeiture of office or appointment upon failure to file new or additional bond, suspension of functions of office. Number 1, if any officer or person fails within 10 days from the date of a personal service or within 30 days from the date of the first insertion of a publication or posted service to file a new or additional bond or undertaking, the office or appointment of the person or officer so failing shall become vacant. I suppose that, or present to you that Clara Andriola is in violation of this. She's not filed a bond according to the NRS codes. And that someone needs to look into it about her and have her vacate that office. It's very clear in the NRS code that she has not met her requirements. Whoever it is that was supposed to have done that would be certainly in question about whether they've upheld their duties, which was probably Manager Eric Brown.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
Public comment, we don't ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public wishing to make public comment?
There is one member of the public on Zoom who would like to make public comment at
Okay.
this time.
Please state your name for the record.
Renee Resentis.
Please proceed. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. I have not approached the Ethics Commission before, so this is my first time. I didn't put anything in writing, but I will. And I just wanted to talk to you about the last 2 meetings that we had that was chaired by Alexis Hill. She took away our public comment in the morning, forcing us to stay late into the evening to make our public comments. There are people there that just want to just address something simple, and they have to stay the whole day. And that's been addressed by Commissioner Mike Clark and Jeannie Herman. So that is on the record, and they are hoping to get it on the agenda to get her to give us our public comment time in the morning back. And I just feel like she retaliated against us because we're not agreeing with what she's doing and the treatment that we're getting as the public. And also she is acting like a not a commissioner. There's a couple people on the board that are not acting like commissioners. They're acting like activists. And they're supposed to be representing all of us, not just a group of people. So I would like those things looked at. And there's other things too, and I'm sorry, I wasn't real prepared for this morning. But yeah, so those are the things that are coming to mind right now. And so I would just ask that you would look at that. There's Manager Brown is making decisions unilaterally, and I do believe that that is against the Ethics Commission. So that needs to be looked at also, because I know I've called my commissioners and they are unaware of things that he has unilaterally implemented. So that needs to be looked at too, because he does not have that role. Anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and have a good day. Thanks.
Right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other members of the public wishing to make comment? Please have a seat. Please state your name for the record.
Penny Brock, I represent myself. I'm also here about our Washoe County Commission situation. There have been several ethic violations filed against our manager, Eric Brown, and Alexis Hill, who's the current chairman. And we are concerned because of these ethics violations, things happening that should not be happening. Yesterday at the meeting, Alexis Hill brought forward, they are going to put in place an ordinance to become registered lobbyists. And this is a concern. They continue to try to shut down the public from attending and also from making comments. And so I just thought I would come to you. I haven't yet filed an ethics complaint, several have, but just to ask you to please take a look at those ethics violations and act on them to do what you can to help us out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Okay. 'Cause I see a couple on Zoom. They don't. Okay. Right. Okay, next item of business. Item 3, approval of April 19th, 2023 commission minutes. Commissioner Lowry did not attend the March meeting and may not participate in the approval of the minutes. All other commissioners may participate. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as read? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes. Commissioner Yen?
Commissioner Dufferin seconds.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Got audio here, so.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is item 4, discussion and approval of a written opinion concerning ethics complaint case number 22-051C regarding Joseph Rodriguez, trustee, Washoe County School District, Lieutenant State Fire Marshal Division, State of Nevada. As I served on the review panel, I am going to turn my the chair over to Vice Dufferin, who will be the presiding officer for these proceedings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to start out with, do we have any disclosures or abstentions? I see Commissioner Yen.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin. I'd like to disclose that I'm a partner with the law firm of McDonald Carano, of which Mr. Rodriguez is a client. Therefore, pursuant to NRS 281A.065 subsections 4 and 5, I do have a commitment in a private capacity to my law firm and the client based on the law firm's continuing business relationship with that client. Consequently, the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation could be materially affected in voting upon items relating to Mr. Rodriguez. To avoid conflicts of interest and any appearance of impropriety, including complying with the ethics law and judicial canons applicable to the commission, I'm disclosing this relationship and will abstain from participation in this matter. I've consulted with Deputy Attorney General St. Jules, and she agrees my disclosure and abstention is required in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Yen. Any other disclosures or abstentions? Seeing none. Proper notice has been provided and waivers have been received for ethics case number 22-051C. Further, the members of the review panel, Chair Wallen and Commissioners Towler and Sheets, who no longer is on this commission, may not participate in the consideration of this matter pursuant to NRS 281A.220 subsection 4. Commissioner Yen has abstained and may not participate in the consideration of this matter. All other commissioners may participate and vote on this matter, which leaves Commissioner Lowry, Commissioner Grunwald, and myself. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or changes to the written opinion as presented?
No.
Commissioner Lowry, see her shaking her head no, and Commissioner Grunwald, do you have any concerns?
I have no, Commissioner Grunwald, I have no concerns. I
Thank
agree with the opinion as written.
Thank you, Commissioner Grunwald. And I do not see Mr. Rodriguez's attorney present. Do we have him present on Zoom? No. And we have not heard any comments from him.
And we don't have Mr. Rodriguez here.
Or Mr. Rodriguez, neither party's here. But we have not heard any concerns and we've shared that order with them. Is that correct?
It's published publicly.
Okay, perfect. Then I believe I'm ready for a motion. If one of the commissioners would like to give me a motion.
Commissioner Lowry, I'll make a motion to approve the order.
And that includes instructing the commission council to finalize the opinion as to the legal form and cause to be properly served on all parties.
It does.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Wait a second.
Aye.
I'm sorry, we do need a second on that motion.
Yeah, Commissioner Grunwald, I second that motion.
I thought I heard that silently in my head, so thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all, and thank you for the work on that. St. Jules, I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And I'll return the meeting back to item number 5 to Commissioner Wallen.
All right,
Chair Wallen, you're up.
thank you. Item 5, Executive Director's Agency Status and Operations Report. Executive Director Armstrong, please give us your presentation.
Thank you. This is Executive Director Armstrong. The report is submitted as agenda item 5, and then there's also a legislative session report that went out yesterday. So first I'll talk about education and outreach. Our priority tasks with that include finishing the build out of the education online platform. As you can see a sample in the report there, that's what someone who's going to take the class will see those different classes on topics, and they'll have a progress bar. So we are have almost everything for phase 1. Or, be able to do a kind of a soft launch is recorded, and it's just getting those into the system and then adding the quizzes and activities and some of those other things. So we should be on target for a launch in June for the first phase of this particular project. And we'll make sure all the commissioners are invited to experience that once it's ready to launch. And then not in the written report, but we are getting June and July will be probably heavy training months. We have quite a bit of requests for training following the legislative session, and so we'll be out in the field a lot there. In terms of the legislative session, our budget hearing was on April 24th. There were no questions during our budget closing was on April 24th. There were no changes from the governor's recommended budget. Which means as long as nothing changes in the final weeks of the legislative session, we will be getting a public information officer who will be able to help with our education and outreach activities. So that position, if approved, new positions typically start October 1st. So we would have some time to create the requirements for the position and recruit to get them started by October 1st. And the other items, there are various proposals for enhancing state employee pay. This commission talked about it and submitted some, but will receive the same treatment as other unclassified employees. And so those are usually determined in the final hours of the legislative session to figure out what that employee pay package might look like. In terms of bills that we are monitoring, I'll start with AB 66 was the Nevada Commission on Ethics bill. It was amended and passed out of the legislature, out of the assembly, and it appears that it will not survive this Friday's second committee passage deadline. So we heard that there was likely to be a veto based on the assembly amendment, and then there was not an ability to come up with a path forward in the Senate. And so it looks most likely that AB 66 will die this Friday. And so we can take the lessons from this time and we'll be looking at that obviously for next session. But I think it's clear that if we propose a big change to the ethics law, the legislature is going to amend it to exempt themselves from the ethics law. I think it's twice in a row now they've done that. So unless we come up with some other way to engage them in a different course, a separate bill, the intention of, at least of the current legislature, is to amend that any bill we would send forward. SB 207, which was a Senate bill about ethics, failed to survive the first deadline. The other one out there that's not on the written report is AB 474, and that is a one-shot appropriation for us to replace some computer equipment. So that will be the one I still go down there and say, this is for $11,000 for computers over the next 2 years. In terms of other topics, open meeting law, 2 of the 3 open meeting law bills are still out there. So when the session completes and we figure out our June meeting will be before the 10-day deadline for vetoes and approval of bills. But by the time we get to August, we'll be able to provide a good kind of update on Nevada's open meeting law. Maybe we'll have a representative from the AG's office come and explain what those updates are, so everyone is aware. They primarily primarily relate to the use of remote mechanisms for open meetings, and then also some parameters around opportunities for public comment and what those might look like going forward. And then in terms of the other ones, you'll see there's an item on the confidential members of a nonprofit organization. Our amendment has been accepted, and so it's no longer a bill of concern because they preserve disclosure and abstention requirements through that amendment. And then the bill that creates a state policy that boards and commissions reflect the diversity, and then setting a deadline for vacancies to the governor. We're pretty proactive as it is in terms of letting the governor know. There may be some requirements in there where we have to come up with a list of folks to submit. So we'll look at what that final bill looks like. That was kind of lots of questions about in the last hearing that I watched. And then the large SB 431, the large governor's reorganization of government bill is, it had its hearing. We presented our limited opposition testimony. And it has not, we haven't seen a work session document or a move from there. There's other monitor bills that are on the list. I won't go over those. And then the upcoming important deadlines. Friday is the second house committee passage deadline. And then the last day of session is June 5th. There's 10 days after that for the governor to veto. If they're out of session, he has 10 days to veto or approve bills before they become law. And so Sundays are excluded from that under the Constitution. So it's really like June 16th will be the day where we know what actually passed and survived this legislative session. So I will stop there in case there are questions about the legislative session update before going into the budget and scheduling.
Any questions, comments? I just want to say that our executive director Armstrong has really been working hard on trying to get AB 66 moved, and you know, we've worked with getting some solutions. I think, you know, next session, maybe we'll put in our, you know, solution, which is a compromise on it. Just have it done so it's not the big one that they keep putting in there. But
yeah, we attempted to get on the agenda of the interim committee last interim, and they would not have us be heard, but I think there'll be a different chair of that interim legislative operations committee. And so I think that's a real key, is getting in front of them.
yeah, and I think that
Early.
getting in front of some of the ones that we couldn't get in front of
Right.
this session, just to talk when they're not so busy and
Yeah.
have time to think and consider, so. But yeah, he's been busy and working on it. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Then just some quick notes on the budget. There'll probably be some final year and work programs that we'll work with our fiscal partners on. And then, as I said, the budget hearing was closed. We'll have that PIO and some additional. One of the other things in the budget that was approved is we currently have the grant to fund the online education system. And so when that grant expires from the feds, the legislature did approve continuing ongoing those monthly fees to keep the system running, which is great news. I've included a scheduling update for, we had, you know, some changes in June and then anticipated dark in July. And so those are just kind of some scheduling thoughts at this point in the.
So what are you thinking about rural?
I don't know, but I think it would be good to go out into the worlds for a meeting. And so maybe somewhere like Churchill, not some, maybe probably not like in the middle of, not Gabs, but
I was gonna say, well, like Winnemucca,
yeah,
Elko.
yeah, something that's easily accessible and so that the community members can have exposure to the ethics
Or we
commission.
could do
So
Tonopah, and then the
Yeah.
commissioners from down south can drive up.
it's the same,
We can drive down
I
south.
want to make sure wherever you pick that have good connectivity for the Zoom.
that will be the key to ensure that members of the public from elsewhere in the state can access it.
And when you say rural, that doesn't have to be Nevada, correct?
Right. I don't think we were funded too much for out-of-state travel, so we're trying to keep
I
that
just thought I'd throw that out there.
in state. And then the last item is the commission recruitment updates. The commission council position, there'll be interviews later today, which will be excellent, and we'll keep moving that process forward. I do think that the different proposals to enhance state employee pay assisted in getting some new applicants. So that will be that will be interesting. And then we have hired Wendy Pfaff as our senior legal researcher, and she will start Monday with us at our office. We have kind of a 3-week onboarding calendar scheduled, and so you'll start to see emails and Wendy included on emails. So she's our new Darcy, and she's excited to be joining us next week. And then finally, the governor has appointed John T. Moran III to the commission. So he'll take the seat that was previously occupied by Commissioner Sheets. He previously served on the commission. He served as the commission's chair. Most recently, he served as a regent with the Nevada System of Higher Education. And so he'll be joining us this fall. We have been communicating to work on a press release like we do for all new commissioner appointments, and then get him on board this fall with the equipment and email and all of that. So that is my executive director's update.
Questions? No, I just had a thought. So the grant that we got for the training system, we've drawn down all those funds, right?
No, it's an interesting process, because the grant is from the feds to the state administrative department, and then we're a sub-grantee of the state administrative department. So the funds have been obligated to us, but all of those federal funds are on a reimbursement process. And so we have the authority in our budget category. They've obligated the funds to us through a notice of subaward. And so we don't get that actual funding to pay the bills until we prove that we've paid the bill, if that makes sense.
You get reimbursed.
It's a reimbursement basis type of grant.
Okay. Because I was just,
Have we yet tried to do a reimbursement?
Yes, we've had our first few months of that
And
reimbursement.
that went okay?
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, the company bills us, and then we show that, yes, that we provided those services, and then we get reimbursed kind of on the back end of our account.
okay, so if the debt ceiling doesn't get passed, or if sounds like they're negotiating to take back any COVID funding, would that be caught up in that, do you think?
I don't believe so. I think, and I haven't looked at, I mean, there's no federal language yet. I would imagine that it will be unobligated funding. Yeah.
So they
no-
could yank it back.
Well, no, they've obligated the funding to us.
Okay,
So I think we're locked in. If the federal government passes a bill that says unspent money,
right.
they will claw back, then any money we wouldn't spend, I think, at the end of the grant period might be clawed back, which we would have some because of just the delay in the
Mhm.
contracting process. And the governor's finance office, we have to submit a separate report to them about how much we've spent and how much we think we'll be able to spend through the term of the grant. So my guess is, I'm not gonna try to guess what Congress will do in DC, but I would imagine that an agreement would not try to claw back funds that are already obligated, because that could open up litigation and those types of things. So that's where we are on our grant.
Okay. Any of the other commissioners have questions for Executive Director Armstrong? His report, okay, all right,
This is Commissioner
Yes,
Grunwald.
yes, Commissioner.
I just wanted to commend Ross for the that he put in the direct confidential legal memo where he analyzed the case for us. That was very, very helpful, and I want to thank Ross for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did want to add, I'll just add, thank you, that helped remind me that we are very excited to have Wendy start on Monday. And I'm just very thankful to the team for all the hard work. Everybody's taken on extra work with the absence of Tracy and Darcy. And we've been able to keep things moving even despite a surge in activity in terms of complaints and advisory opinions. And so we are all excited to have a new member of the team, in part because we'll get a little bit of breathing room on a number of items. So.
Yeah. Thank you. And I know that our Executive Director Pedroza, or Executive Assistant Pedroza, I always want to promote her. I know that she's been wearing multiple hats since Darcy retired, so thank you for keeping the wheels on the train. Appreciate it. And as well as the rest of the staff, because I know you guys are all doing double and triple duty. Right, well, with that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve the executive director's agency status report as presented.
This is Commissioner Yen. I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Greenwald, I second.
All right, Commissioner Greenwald, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Right. Next item is item 6, commissioner comments. Are there any commissioners wishing to make comments or want to identify a future agenda item?
Madam Chair, my comments are just going to be similar to what we've heard already. Thank you to the staff for stepping up and doing the extra stuff that needed to be done while Darcy's been out, and thank you to Ross, our executive director, Ross Armstrong, for trying to shepherd our bill through the legislature. This is the third time that I've been involved with this particular bill, and it's morphed into what it is today, but I'm disappointed to hear that it's not going to pass. But I don't think it's any reflection on the commission or its staff. I think it's taken on a different amendment that we didn't necessarily think about. I mean, we thought about it. I didn't think it would happen again, second time. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the legislature. And I'm disappointed that they didn't, because there was never any issue with our bill, was only with the amendment, then it wasn't our amendment, so. But there's always the next time, so I won't be here the next time, so I wish whoever's sitting in my chair that they can do something different than I did. Once again, I don't think it was anything that we did as collectively. I think it had to do with the politics of the day. So once again, I want to thank you, Mr. Armstrong, for shepherding that through as best you can. I think out of the 3 times that I was involved with it, I think you shepherded it the best out of anybody else. And I really appreciate your efforts. I know that you sat in people's offices, outside their offices for hours, waiting to meet with them and never getting to meet with them. You did everything you possibly could to make sure that you did everything that you could do on our behalf. So I thank you for that. So those are my comments. And I also want to thank the public. We have members of the public that are here sitting behind me, and I want to thank them for participating in the process. Thank you.
All right. I don't see anyone else. I just want to let my fellow commissioners know that after we adjourn, Executive Assistant Pedrosa is going to send you out a new Zoom link for a closed meeting for us to deliberate. And yeah, I'm not going to mention it. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Next item, public comment. I'd like to ask the executive director whether the commission has received any emails.
We have not received any emails with public comment during the meeting. And it's my understanding that there are individuals on the Zoom call who would like to have public comment during this public comment period.
All right. Members of the public on Zoom?
I think if Executive Assistant Pedrosa could let us
Yeah.
just call out who we
Mhm.
first and.
Yes, Executive Assistant Pedrosa. For the record, we have Betty who would like to make public comment first, and then Valerie. Betty, you need to unmute.
Okay.
Betty, go ahead, please. You have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm just calling about the serious problem at the Washoe County Commission. We have a chair that is putting things on the agenda unilaterally without letting any of the rest of the commission know. I'm sure the county manager knows about it, but she has stopped public comment at the beginning of the meeting for the last 3 weeks, or the last 3 meetings. Last week, we had a gentleman in the audience that wanted to speak at public comment, an elderly gentleman about his septic system. He waited 8 hours to speak. That is uncalled for. I don't know what the procedure is, if I need to file an ethics complaint. But it is really serious. We have no public comment at the beginning of the meeting, and on their website, it states that they do have public comment at the beginning of the meeting. I thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Valerie, you may unmute now.
Yes.
Thank
please.
you. This is Valerie Fianaka for the record. I have several questions. I don't know if you're able to interact, but if you are, I'd appreciate answers. I'd like to know how long the process is from start to finish after an ethics complaint is filed until its resolution. I've noticed several on your website that have been pending for years without resolution, even though they've had cause to be taken up by you. And my second question is, are violations graduated in terms of fines when there are multiple complaints, as is the case with the one today? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll let you go ahead and comment.
Yes, thank you. This is Executive Director Armstrong for the record. What I will say, because we've had kind of a handful of questions and folks wondering about complaints. So I'll say this, the statutory timeframes are established in our law, which is NRS 281A of the, so that's the Nevada Revised Statutes. And then if there's any members of the public who are observing or commented, they would like additional information about how to file a complaint or about the Ethics Commission rules, feel free to reach out. I can give you our Ethics Commission email is NCOE, like Nevada Commission on Ethics, NCOE@ethics.nv.gov. And I'd be happy to get you any materials that you would like, including a link to our complaint form and some of our educational materials on our YouTube that kind of explain the jurisdiction, the jurisdiction of the commission and that whole complaint process. We have some really great material on there. So feel free to reach out to our office, and we're happy to always answer questions about the process and rules surrounding the Nevada Commission on Ethics.
Are there any others? I just want to make one comment. A lot of the public comment today that was brought up about public comment at meetings, those issues should be referred to the Attorney General's office and as open meeting law violations. So, right, because that's one area that the Ethics Commission doesn't have any involvement in, is open meeting law violations. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute.
Wait, this is Commissioner Grunwald. Can you explain, are we going to deliberate on the direct matter?
No, you can't say that. Yes, we are. We are going to deliberate on the closed matter.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Come on then. Maybe we won't deliberate. Have to call a special meeting.
Again, Nicholas St. John for the record. While I agree with the people that are talking about the violation of the open meeting laws, one of the other things that we do have a question about on ethics is this idea of the chair being able to do things unilaterally. If you didn't see the commission meeting, I think on the 9th of April, I think, somewhere around there, maybe it's the 11th. Anyway, there was Chair Hill was essentially unhinged, trying to keep us on topic and unilaterally deciding that even though we were talking about things that were very much on topic, making a decision to rant and rave, banging the gavel, and telling us that we were not on topic, I believe is an ethics violation of her oath of office and what she needed to do. She doesn't get to decide that we're not talking about something that's on topic. As an example, they were talking about spending $473,000 on CrossFit trails that were on at 2 parks. I'm very involved in the pickleball community. It's the fastest growing sport in America. When I'm talking about looking at that as an option to putting in CrossFit trails, which you might have a very limited number of people use versus spending $473,000 on putting in pickleball courts, which have been asked of the commission numerous times. And her banging the gavel saying, I want to hear what you say about this item is unethical. She does not get to, decide whether we're actually on topic or not when we are in fact on topic. And she has managed to embarrass herself and the commission and the county in this state with her unethical rants and raves. And so I don't know what we can do. If you guys want to get with me afterwards and tell us how we file a complaint to hold her accountable for her unethical rants and raves, I'd love to speak to somebody about that because it's an embarrassment. If you guys go back and look at that, you'll see that she was just unhinged. Someone reeled her in and afterwards she commented one time, stay on topic. So someone really needs to look at that and her overreach. Thank you.
Any additional ones? All right, now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, so you guys on the commission, jump back on that new Zoom link and we'll deliberate.